Some people grew up in houses where they were fed, clothed, and sheltered, but they were not seen. Their parents were there, physically present in the home, but emotionally, the child was alone. They learned early that their feelings didn't matter, that their needs were an inconvenience, that the safest thing to do was stay small, stay quiet, and not ask for too much. This is emotional neglect, and it leaves scars that don't show. There is a psychology behind being the ignored child. Research shows that emotional neglect, the absence of emotional attunement, validation, and presence, can be more damaging than many forms of active abuse. Because when something bad happens to you, you know it's wrong. You can point to it. You can say, "This hurt me." But when nothing happens, when you're simply overlooked, dismissed, treated as if your inner world doesn't exist, there's nothing concrete to point to. Just an absence, a silence, an emptiness where connection should have been. Psychologists call this childhood emotional neglect, when a parent is physically present but emotionally absent, when basic survival needs are met but emotional needs are ignored. The child has food on the table, but no one asks how their day was. They have a roof over their head, but no one notices when they're struggling. They have clothes to wear, but no one sees who they actually are underneath. And that child learns a devastating lesson. I am not important enough to be seen. But here's what makes emotional neglect so insidious. The ignored child often grows into an adult who doesn't even recognize they were neglected, because nothing overtly bad happened. They weren't hit, they weren't screamed at, they weren't abandoned, they were just overlooked. And they learned to overlook themselves too.
Many adults who were ignored children will say, "I had a fine childhood. My parents did their best." And maybe they did. But doing your best doesn't mean a child's needs were met. And the ignored child learns to minimize their own emotional reality because no one else took it seriously. The ignored child becomes an adult who feels invisible, who apologizes for existing, who believes their feelings are too much, their needs are burdensome, their presence is barely tolerable. Not because anyone told them that explicitly, but because no one showed them anything different. Emotional neglect is not what happened to you, it's what didn't happen. And that absence creates a void that some people spend their entire lives trying to fill. There is a specific psychology shared by people who were ignored children. They have what researchers call high self-reliance combined with deep emotional hunger. They learned early to meet their own needs because no one else would. They became self-sufficient, independent, not because they wanted to be, but because dependency felt dangerous. If you need someone and they're not there, you learn to stop needing, or at least to stop showing that you need. Every emotion got pushed down, every need went unspoken, every hurt was carried alone. Because the few times they did reach out, showed sadness, expressed fear, asked for help, they were met with dismissal, annoyance, or worse, complete indifference. "You're fine. Stop being so sensitive. Other kids have it worse." Or simply nothing, no response at all. Scientific studies show that children who experience emotional neglect often develop patterns of anxious attachment, chronic feelings of emptiness, difficulty identifying emotions, alexithymia, and a persistent sense of being fundamentally unimportant. Their brains literally develop differently. The neural pathways for emotional regulation, self-worth, and secure attachment don't form properly when there's no one there to co-regulate with them. The ignored child's nervous system learned that showing emotion doesn't bring comfort. It brings nothing. So they stop showing it. They become adults who don't know what they feel because they were never taught that feelings mattered. But sometimes the world doesn't recognize this as trauma. At least you weren't abused. Your parents kept you alive. Be grateful. You had a roof over your head. Some kids have it worse. These statements silence the ignored child even further. They learn that their pain isn't valid because it doesn't look dramatic enough from the outside.
But the absence of love leaves just as deep a wound as the presence of cruelty, sometimes deeper, because you can't fight an absence. You can't heal from something you can't even name. Yet many deeply empathetic, self-aware, introspective people were ignored children. They learned to read rooms because no one read them. They learned to notice others' needs because their own went unnoticed. They became hyper-attuned to everyone else and completely disconnected from themselves. Maybe that's the tragic irony. Emotional neglect often creates people who are exceptionally good at seeing others while remaining invisible to themselves. It teaches you to scan for emotional cues because you needed to predict your parents' mood to stay safe. It teaches you to be low maintenance because being high maintenance meant being a burden. It teaches you to survive on crumbs of attention while convincing yourself you don't need more. Still, here's what people don't understand about being the ignored child. It's not that nothing happened, it's that the things that should have happened didn't. A parent should notice when their child is struggling, but yours didn't. A parent should ask questions, show curiosity about who their child is becoming, but yours didn't. A parent should validate feelings, help process emotions, teach that it's safe to be vulnerable, but yours didn't. And that absence, that consistent, quiet, daily absence of emotional presence, taught you that you don't matter. Not through words, through silence. The ignored child learned that their excitement was annoying, so they stopped sharing good news. They learned that their sadness was inconvenient, so they cried alone in their room. They learned that their fears were dismissed, so they stopped asking for reassurance. They learned that their presence was tolerated but not celebrated, so they made themselves small, quiet, easy, anything to not be a burden. And here's the devastating part. The ignored child often became the good kid, the easy one, the one who didn't cause problems. And they were praised for it. You're so independent. You never complain. I wish your siblings were more like you. But that independence wasn't strength, it was survival. And those compliments reinforced the idea that their value lay in not needing anything. The ignored child grows into an adult who struggles with basic things others take for granted. They don't know what they want because no one ever asked. They don't trust their feelings because no one ever validated them. They don't feel worthy of love because no one showed them they were worth paying attention to. They apologize for existing because their existence was treated as background noise in their own home. They're terrified of being a burden because the one time they needed something as a child, they learned that needing was dangerous. But here's what the ignored child rarely hears. It wasn't your fault. You weren't too much. You weren't too needy. You weren't unworthy of attention. Your parents were limited, distracted, dealing with their own unprocessed pain, unable or unwilling to meet your emotional needs. And you absorbed that as evidence of your inadequacy instead of theirs. Let's go deeper into what happens psychologically to the ignored child. Number one is the aspect of chronic emotional emptiness. Many adults who were ignored children describe feeling empty, not sad, empty, because they never learned what it feels like to be emotionally full. They were never filled up with validation, attention, attunement. So they don't know what fullness feels like. They only know the ache of absence. Number 2, difficulty identifying emotions. When no one helps you name what you're feeling, you don't develop emotional vocabulary. Adults who were ignored children often say, "I don't know how I feel," because they genuinely don't. They were never taught to identify, express, or regulate emotion. They learned to ignore their internal world the way their parents ignored it. Number 3, hyper-independence. They learned that asking for help leads to disappointment, so they became compulsively self-reliant. They'd rather struggle alone than risk the pain of unmet needs. This looks like strength to others, but it's actually a wound, because connection requires the ability to need people, and the ignored child learned that needing is dangerous. Number 4, people-pleasing and approval-seeking. They learned that their existence wasn't valuable on its own, so they try to earn value through usefulness, achievement, perfection. They become adults who can't stop performing because the only time they got attention as children was when they achieved something or made themselves helpful. Number 5, deep loneliness, even in relationships. Because the ignored child learned early that people can be physically present and emotionally absent. They learned that you can be in the same room as someone and still be completely alone. So they carry that loneliness into adulthood. Even when surrounded by people who love them, they feel unseen, because the original wound was about being unseen by the people who were supposed to see them most. Number 6, inability to trust that they matter. Deep down, they believe they're fundamentally unimportant, that their thoughts, feelings, and needs don't carry weight. This isn't low self-esteem. It's deeper. It's a core belief that their inner world is irrelevant. The ignored child becomes an adult who struggles to believe they deserve to be chosen, to be prioritized, to be someone's first thought instead of an afterthought. They settle for relationships where they're tolerated instead of celebrated, where they're convenient instead of essential. Because being treated as optional feels familiar, and the ignored child learned to accept crumbs and call it a meal. But you don't have to keep accepting crumbs. You don't have to keep making yourself small so others are comfortable. You don't have to keep apologizing for needing things that every human needs: attention, validation, care. You don't have to keep proving your worth through achievement, usefulness, or perfection. Your worth is inherent. It always was. Your parents' inability to see it doesn't diminish it. Now let's talk directly to you, clearly, without the cushion of distance. If you were the ignored child, this message is for you. You are not too much. You never were. Your needs are not burdensome. Your feelings are not inconvenient. Your presence is not something to apologize for. You deserved to be seen. You deserved to have your feelings validated. You deserved to matter to the people who brought you into this world. And the fact that you didn't get those things is not evidence of your inadequacy. It's evidence of theirs. Your parents failed you, not by hitting you, not by screaming, but by treating you as if you were invisible, as if your inner world was irrelevant. And you internalized that. You learned to treat yourself the way they treated you, as an afterthought, as unimportant, as not worth paying attention to. But you can unlearn that. You can start noticing what you feel. You can start validating your own emotions. you can start treating your needs as if they matter, because they do. You can stop performing for scraps of attention and start believing you deserve to be seen. You can stop making yourself small and start taking up the space you were always entitled to. It won't be easy. Your nervous system will resist. The voice in your head will say you're being too much, too needy, too demanding. But that voice isn't yours. It's the echo of parents who couldn't meet your needs and taught you to stop having them. And you don't have to listen to it anymore. The ignored child learned to survive on emotional starvation. But survival is not the same as living. And you deserve to live fully, with needs that are met, feelings that are validated, and a presence that is celebrated. You deserved that as a child, and you deserve it now.
One day, someone will see you, truly see you, not for what you achieve or how useful you are, but for who you are underneath all the performance. They'll notice when you're struggling without you having to say it. They'll ask questions because they're genuinely curious about your inner world. They'll validate your feelings without making you prove they're justified. And it will feel strange, because you've been invisible for so long that being seen feels vulnerable, exposing, almost dangerous. But it's also what you've always needed. And that person, the one who sees you, will be worth all the years you spent invisible. Until then, start seeing yourself. Start paying attention to your own needs. Start treating your feelings as if they matter. Because they do. You do. The ignored child wasn't defective. They were neglected. And neglect is not a reflection of the child's worth. It's a failure of the parent's capacity. You can't change what happened. You can't go back and make your parents see you. You can't rewrite your childhood into one where you mattered. But you can stop carrying their neglect as evidence of your inadequacy. You can stop making yourself invisible because that's what felt safe. You can stop living as if you don't deserve to be seen, known, chosen, celebrated. Because you do. You always did. The ignored child learned that their absence didn't change anything, that whether they were there or not, life continued the same. But your absence matters. Your presence matters. You matter. Not because of what you do, not because you're useful or easy or compliant, but because you exist. And existence is enough. You were the ignored child, but you don't have to stay invisible. You can be seen. You can be known. You can matter. And you can start by refusing to ignore yourself any longer. Your feelings are real. Your needs are valid. Your inner world is rich and complex and deserving of attention. And anyone who can't see that isn't someone who deserves access to you. Keep grieving what you didn't get. Keep getting angry about what was denied to you. Keep learning to see yourself even when no one taught you how. Because the ignored child is still inside you, waiting to be noticed. And you can give that child what no one else did. You can see them. You can tell them they matter. You can promise them they're not too much. And slowly, you can teach yourself that being seen is not dangerous, that needing is not weakness, that existing is enough. The ignored child deserved better, and so do you.